Chapter 1. The Slave Market of Zorath 9. The air in the slave market was thick with the stench of sweat, ozone, and the acrid tang of fear. Alien voices barked orders in guttural tongues, and the clank of chains echoed through the metallic corridors. Among the rows of miserable captives stood Lyra, a human woman with dark, matted hair and hollow eyes. Her once proud posture was broken under the weight of the neural collar clamped around her neck, a gift from her former master, the Tyrant of Zalthor. Lyra had been a personal attendant to the Tyrant, forced to kneel at his feet, anticipate his every whim, and endure his cruelty. She had seen others like her die from exhaustion or his sudden rages. But when the Tyrant grew bored of her, she was discarded, sold off to the highest bidder on the intergalactic slave markets. Now, as the auctioneer droned on in a language she barely understood, Lyra braced herself for another nightmare. Then he stepped forward. Human. Not a mercenary, not a wealthy trader, just a man. Average height, unassuming features, wearing a mechanic's jumpsuit with a patch from some backwater planet. His name was Daniel Carter, and he was staring at her with an expression she hadn't seen in years. Pity. How much for her? He asked in broken galactic common. The auctioneer sneered. 500 credits. She's weak but well trained. Daniel didn't hesitate. He slapped a credit chip onto the table. Done. Lyra's heart pounded. What does he want with me? Chapter 2. A different kind of captivity. Daniel didn't drag her by a chain. He didn't sneer or bark orders. Instead, he removed the neural collar the moment they were aboard his battered freighter, the Starstrider. Lyra flinched, expecting a trick. Easy, Daniel said softly. You're free now. She didn't believe him. Freedom was a myth. But when he handed her a warm meal, real food, not nutrient paste, and a clean set of clothes, something inside her cracked. Why? She whispered. Daniel sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Because no one deserves that. Over the next few weeks, Lyra watched him closely. He wasn't rich. His ship was barely spaceworthy. He made a living hauling cargo between fringe worlds, avoiding the attention of slavers and warlords. He was ordinary, and yet he treated her like a person. She didn't understand it. Chapter 3. The Ghosts of the Past. Lyra woke screaming. The nightmares of Zalthor's dungeons still haunted her. Daniel was at her side in seconds, gripping her shoulders. Breathe, he urged. You're safe. She wanted to believe him. But safety was an illusion. Then the bounty hunters came. They were Zalthor's enforcers, clad in black armor, demanding the return of the Tyrant's property. Daniel's ship wasn't armed. They were outmatched. Lyra prepared herself for the inevitable. But Daniel didn't surrender her. Run, he told her, shoving a blaster into her hands. I'll hold them off. She stared at him. Why would he die for me? And then, for the first time in years, Lyra fought back. Chapter 4. The Turning Point. She had been trained to serve, but the Tyrant had also taught her to kill. Lyra moved like a shadow, disabling the first hunter with a well-placed shot. Daniel, though inexperienced, fought with desperate courage. Together they barely escaped. As the Starstrider limped away, Lyra realized something. She didn't want to run anymore. She turned to Daniel, her voice steady for the first time. I'm not leaving you. He blinked. You don't owe me anything. I know, she said. But I'm staying anyway. Chapter 5. A New Life. Months passed. Lyra learned to pilot. Daniel taught her about Earth. Its oceans, its cities, its quiet beauty. She told him about the stars she'd seen as a slave, how she dreamed of touching them freely. One evening, as they drifted near a nebula, Daniel hesitated before speaking. "Lyra, I don't have much. But if you wanted, you could stay. Not as a passenger. As family." She looked at him, this ordinary man who had given her everything. And for the first time she smiled. Yes. Epilogue: The Tyrant's End. Rumors reached them years later. The tyrant of Zalthor had fallen, his empire crumbling. Lyra, now a freighter captain in her own right, stood beside Daniel on the bridge of their new ship. Her home. "You're not his slave anymore," Daniel murmured. She squeezed his hand. "No, I'm yours." He laughed. "Not mine. With me." Lyra kissed him, finally free.